Gabriel.
Yay!
I'm gonna turn the screen around so you can't see yourself anymore.
Yamp.
Yamp. Hey, just a minute, Yamp. Hey, Gabriel, is 14 to 42 millimeters a good enough focal range?
No.
That's correct. Now tell me, is f3.5 to 5.6 a good enough aperture range?
No.
That's correct. Now tell me, should we improve upon our lens?
No, I see reason inside me.
I tried. So what that crazy little person was trying to say is that 12 to 42 at f3.5 to 5.6 is not a sufficient lens for my needs. I mean, it probably is, but not for my wants. So we upgraded a little bit. And I don't like to upgrade just a little bit. I like to upgrade as far as I can within reason. So what we ended up with is pretty sweet. Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Leica DG Vario Elmer at 12 to 60 f2.8 to 4. Lovely mid-range zoom lens for the Micro Four Thirds system. In this case, it's going to go on my Lumix G9. So far, this thing has been an absolutely fantastic addition to my kit, and it's replacing one lens, potentially two. So the mainstay that used to be on the G9 was this 14 to 42 f3.5 to 5.6. This is like $100 lens, something like that, and it was one of the first lenses that I ordered for the Micro Four Thirds system. It's not very fast, starting at 3.5 at 14 millimeter, and a minimum of 5.6 at 42. It's a pretty slow lens. So I wanted something faster and something a little more versatile. So the 12 to 60 obviously has 2 more millimeters on the back end and then an additional 18 on the front end for reach. So it starts at an f2.8 and only goes to an f4. So not only is it faster, it's got a lot more focal range as well. The decision to upgrade wasn't hard, but actually going about it was a little challenging because this lens cost 5 times more than this lens. So for all those extra dineros, what kind of construction are we looking at? For the cheaper lens, plastic. I mean, like 100% plastic, minus obviously some of the internals, springs and whatnot, and the glass. For this guy, for 5 times the price, there's no plastic in sight. Minus, of course, your lens caps. Even the switches on the side here are metal. The rubberized rings for both the zoom and the focus are wildly smooth. The single smoothest rings I've ever worked with. Fantastic. And the housing, metal. Inner housing, metal. There's some foam around the inside there where it's weather sealed. Not metal, foam, you know. You can't really weather seal with metal. The hood that comes with these even has metal components. So this is one heck of a chonky lens. It feels good in the hand. I would feel confident that if I dropped it, it wouldn't be destroyed immediately upon impact. Similar to the G9 in that way, that I'm not super worried about it self-destructing. It's just, everything about it feels professional. It feels just top of the line. Absolutely 100% confident that this lens will stand the test of time. The one thing that did change when I went from the 1442 to the 12 to 60 was definitely the weight that I was carrying around. So the 14 to 42 is a measly 4 3/4 ounces. This thing weighs nothing. So I went up to 12.5 ounces. So we're talking a little bit less than 3 times the weight in the lens alone. So as you can see at the 12mm end, the wide open end here, wow, that's bobbling up and down. I've got it on the dashboard here, and it's plenty wide for vlogging in the car, which is pretty awesome. Just, you know, setting it on the dash, or we've used a suction cup before and hung the camera upside down from it. And this is about where I would hold it if I was just gonna hold it. And it's not super uncomfortable, but this is definitely a decent position to hold it if you're going to be vlogging with it. So it's definitely a vlog-worthy lens. Now, another distinct advantage of this lens over the previous lens is that it is weather sealed, as is the G9, so I can do this. I can get soaked while taking video. Isn't that delightful? One really nice thing about this lens, and another thing that puts it at its price point, is how excellent the color representation and the contrast are straight out of camera. A lot less Lightroom use is going to be necessary to fix my images. The autofocus is as snappy as it can be on the contrast-based system here, and it loses it a little bit, but that's the camera, that's not the lens. Color representation and contrast are where it's at with this lens. I wouldn't go any cheaper if you want straight out of camera results like this. So like I said before, at 12mm this thing is perfect for vlogging. Even, honestly I wouldn't go any tighter than that, because that's about 24mm equivalent on a full frame. But it's going to run at f2.8 at 24mm, or at 12mm in this case. And I don't know, it looks pretty darn good. My background's not super blurry or anything like that. So, you know, bokeh on it is not really its purpose. It's not really what it's doing extremely well. It does decent in low light, which is good. But it's definitely pulling me out of the background enough that I would say it's an excellent vlogging lens, especially at 12mm. What's beautiful about this focal range, though, the 12 to 60, is it's extremely versatile. So I can go from vlogging very easily like this, with the camera around, punch in on something on the river, take a picture, boom, whip it back around, go back to vlogging. And before, I could really only do this by switching lenses. So not only is it just extremely high quality in build and everything, but it's extremely versatile. So I'm definitely keeping this on here most of the time, unless I'm punching in real hard on some wildlife, or if I've, you know, got a need to go ultra wide, then I'll put my 11-16 Nikon on, because with the speed booster, that's bringing it about 6mm wider focal length than even this. So I still do have use for that. It's just that thing is chunky. I think it weighs like a pound and a couple ounces. It's huge. Whereas this is actually very comfortable to hold right now, even with the battery grip on, even with the lens on. I mean, I feel it for sure, but it's nothing that I can't handle. So what this lens is allowing me to do then is more or less just pick up and go, as long as I've got, you know, an extra battery in my pocket or the battery in the battery grip, so I've at least got two, then I really can just pick this camera up and go and not have to worry about actually packing a bag. I also now have much more freedom of focal range. 12 to 60 is an amazing range, and in a lens this high quality, I have no complaints whatsoever. So on a super crappy, cruddy, rainy day like this, it really makes me grateful that I purchased this particular lens. Because what is the point of having a $1,000 weather-sealed camera with all the capabilities and, you know, excellent functionality of the Lumix G9 when your lenses are preventing you from using any of that? So having a weather-sealed lens that is dust-proof, splash-proof, and freeze-proof on a camera that is all those things as well is the only way to go. Because, I don't know, not having this lens will preclude me from filming outdoors right now. I'd have to have it in a bag, not around my neck, not in my hand. And I'm appreciative that I can do that. So getting a weather-sealed lens was the absolute best idea in this case. They're doing so much construction that I literally just don't even know where to go. Oh my goodness. Under a rooftop? Ah! So what I was saying before Thor got angry at me, we are going to run a couple tests here. First test, we're going to use the 12 to 60 wide open at 2.8, 12 millimeter. Take a picture here. Then I'm going to zoom all the way in to 60 millimeters at f4. Take a picture there. And then I'm going to do the same, wide open at the low end to wide open at the high end with the 14 to 42. So as you can see immediately here, the Leica put forth a much crisper and more contrasty image. It's much truer to real life. So now we know which ISO settings each lens is using at their top and bottom wide open settings. But what if we set the ISO to 800 and don't move it from there? What kind of pictures are we getting with these lenses? By taking that ISO down to 800, we lost some of the uniformity in shutter speed, which is totally fine. What surprised me is that wide open, it actually went slower on the Leica. And last but not least, let us see what our scene looks like here with not only an ISO set to 800, but also a shot time of 1/10, 1/10 of a second per shot. This test didn't really change much. As you can see, you're still getting the excellent contrast and color out of the Leica, and the Lumix is definitely lagging behind. You guys can't say that I never bring you anywhere nice. I mean, I brought you to Disney World. Come on. Come on. Isn't this a lovely day to be at Disney World? So the last test I want to do here is a stabilization test. So I came to the most well-lit indoor area that I could find to give it, you know, every advantage that I possibly could. So we won't have to deal with a low light situation while we're trying to stabilize. So our first test here is going to be video with the stabilizer completely off on the lens and completely off on the camera. All I'm doing here, walking down to that end and then walking back. Easy peasy, right? Here we go. I'm doing a heel-toe ninja walk here, trying to keep it somewhat stable. Alright, now going back the other direction, we're going to turn the stabilizer in the camera on, but keep the lens stabilizer off. So in body is stabilized, lens is not. You can obviously see a lot of sway still. Same walk, same distance. And last but not least, I'm gonna go back the other direction, but I'm gonna use the mechanical switch on the lens to turn the lens stabilization back on. And here we go, dual stabilized. So as you can see with this comparison, the difference is not only immediately obvious, but can be the difference between a usable and a completely unusable shot. Now, if nothing else, this is a lovely day at Disney. Oh no, there's some blue sky over there. We're good. We're good. Well done. Easy peasy. Little baby monsoon. A little bit of thunder. Whoever let this stop their day at Disney. Lovely out here. So how was the video performance at night? Woo! It is still storming out here, but it is probably 7:30 right now. It's late dusk. It's pretty dark out. Dark enough that all the lights are on, so I'm definitely getting, you know, environmental light. I don't have to worry about any light sources, but it's definitely not bright out here. Just kind of got these little street lights here, lighting up the entire walkway.
But you know, there's a few pictures that I showed you there, and most of them are handheld. I think I set it on a railing for one picture across the lake, but everything else is handheld, and I can do 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds. And the OIS in this thing is spot on. It's beautiful, fantastic. So I have no complaints about that. The dual OIS is doing its job. And honestly, I don't think ISO is as noticeable or as bad as it used to be in older cameras, especially DSLRs. And with this lens being wide open right now at 2.8, you're definitely getting enough light in for this to be a usable shot. I've come to a truly actually dark area, and I'm gonna see what I can do handheld here. Just gonna take pictures of these bushes. I know you can't even see them because they're black right now because it's so dark over here. There's like 2 lights in this whole area. So I want to take a picture of these bushes. I want to do a 5-second handheld long exposure and see if we can get any crispiness out of that. So you can see the first try here, I must have stumbled or something like that. Very, very blurry. The second try, however, got it a lot clearer. This is a 5-second exposure, handheld. And the third, another 5-second exposure, handheld at ISO 1250. And you can see in shots like this one that given a little bit more ambient light, this is a 3-second exposure, I was able to keep my ISO down to 200, which is crazy. This was taken at 8 p.m. It was almost completely pitch black, except for obviously the ambient light. So what would I say about this lens? Take it or leave it? Don't even worry about it? Of course not. I love this lens, and I highly recommend it anybody on the Micro Four Thirds system, especially somebody running a Lumix G9, GH5, GH5S, anything like that. Definitely check this lens out. The stabilization is incredible. The optics are amazing. Just all in all, this is the perfect workhorse lens. And man, does it kick some butt at this price point. That's about it for me. I'm gonna head home now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this lens review. And I definitely hope that you got the information you were looking for if you are looking to buy this exact lens. I highly recommend it if you can I don't know, if you can imagine a perfect lens, this is pretty darn close. Especially in this focal range, pretty darn close. Anyway, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful day, night, evening, week, month, whatever it is. Hit all the buttons if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.